Hey everybody, Whitney Miller here. I am back home in New Orleans. After you build that chest, there are some things you might want to put in it, maybe some cool tool racks. So here is what Chris and Megan came up with.
After Whitney finished construction of the tool chest, she went back to New Orleans, and that left me and Megan Fitzpatrick to kind of figure out how to fit out the inside of the chest. And so this short video is going to show you some of the things that Megan and I added to the chest that give it some more capability. The first thing is on the slant lid. So the tool chest that I saw in Sweden just had a flat lid with, not with this little lip here. I love having this little lip because you can put plans or whatever sort of papers you need, cutting list, etc. here on the chest. You can tape it to it if you want to. But this little lip is just a piece of cherry that has been rounded over, I think with a block plane, but you could do it also with a hollows and rounds. And then we used a little pinner to pin it in place. It doesn't have to be super structural or inset or triple tenon or anything. On the inside of the case, why don't we start up here at the top with the saw tills. So these really have to be made to fit your saws because the backs are going to be a little bit different and the depth of the plate is going to be a little bit different. But we wanted to get a carcass saw on one side and a dovetail saw on the other. And you want to make sure that you have enough clearance from the top of the horn of the dovetail saw, that's about 2.5 inches, so that when you shut the lid, you don't destroy the saw on the front edge. So these are simply little pieces of scrap cherry. There is a bigger groove in this one for the back of the saw, and then a thinner one, which is just one kerf with the table saw for the blade, and sized to fit your saw. And so that handles those two joinery saws. So now let's take a look at the drawers. The difference between the chest I saw in Sweden and this chest is I wanted to make this opening a little bit wider. And that's great because it makes it really easy to reach in and get stuff. The downside is it made the drawers a little smaller. So these drawers are kind of small, but they still will hold, this one just has 2 spoke shaves in it now, but this one you can see can hold all the block planes anyone could ever need in their lives. So the drawers are just nailed together, and you can put in dividers or whatever if you really want. Let's take a look at the inside of the case. First, we'll look at the front wall here. So the front wall, this is sort of very flexible tool storage. And we're not trying to make this French fitted where this will only fit one set of tools. But what you have is basically, I think, a 1/4 inch strip of wood with a few 1/2 inch spacers. And these 1/2 inch spacers and the 1/4 inch strip are screwed to the front wall of the tool chest. And that just gives you this very open area where you can just drop chisels, squares, gauges, whatever will fit in that 1/2 inch gap. On the sides, or the ends of the tool chest, we have what we call a holy rack. Not holy as in church, but holy as in lots of holes. And so this is a rack that we use in a lot of tool chests. And these are 1/2 inch holes drilled on the drill press on 1 1/8" centers. We found that that's really just a good all-around measurement for general storage. But if you have wider chisels, you're going to have to take that Forstner bit in your drill press and overlap them or open up some of the holes for wider chisels. But this holds dividers and a bunch of other stuff. At the back of the chest, we have 2 blocks that hold the bigger saws. So these blocks are just simple blocks that have had kerfs cut in them. And the kerfs are about 3/4 of an inch apart. And then they're screwed to the back and the underside of the case so that you can just drop your saws in there. And this will hold a panel saw. We've got a big sash saw and a big tenon saw back there right now. And then the one other thing you might see here inside the chest are these little wooden covers or plates or something that are screwed to the inside of the case. And those are covering up the bolt heads for the hardware on the ends. So you can't just screw this. You can't screw your handles to the chest. If you ever want to pick it up, it'll eventually pull out. So these are bolted on the inside. And the bolt has a washer, I believe. And then we've made this little plate on here that covers the bolt heads so that you don't snag or yourself on them or hit them with your hands. So I'm sure there are lots of other things you could do to this chest to fit it out for your particular kit, but we think this is a really good and basic place to start.